Okay, Sarah, you've now walked much of this. You know this is the Kidron Valley. You know it meets down here at the Hinnom Valley. You know that right down the middle, of course, you have this valley we call the Tyropoeon. And so the city of David, of course, originally was just this lower part. You have these steep hills. And so because it's steep, they built a wall here, and it was small. That was just a Jebusite city. But then under David, the city would have grown. Under Solomon, it became huge. And Solomon was a great builder. He was wealthier than Herod ever imagined being, and he was a longer reigning king than Herod.
David.
Solomon, his son. And so it would have been amazing what he accomplished in his years in terms of building. So today, of course, this is our wall this way, and we do have 4 quarters. This part over here is the Jewish quarter. All of this was completely destroyed in the 48 time period. You know, after Israel, you know, they wiped it out. Huge blessing from an archaeological standpoint. Terrible thing and otherwise.
Yeah, how so? Or
well, because it's all knocked down, what happens?
they get to rebuild.
Then you get to rebuild, but you get to dig. I would love to dig right here, and I would love to dig right here, but we can't. We have all these homes and shops and streets. Here they destroyed it, and so that Jewish quarter is basically built on steel. Big old I-beams everywhere and across, and all these buildings you don't know just looking like this, but you go in that Jewish quarter, we're going to go underneath homes and underneath businesses and underneath streets, and it's down there, and we can see 1st century Jerusalem. We have timbers from the homes that were burned as a result of the Roman invasion and 70 destruction of the city, and when it was finally uncovered, we were able, and of course we didn't get to it until after 67, because 67 is the 6-Day War, and that's when Israel took control of the entire city. Up until then, you go out to the Jaffa Gate, there's a dividing fence here, and no one was allowed to cross without permission. This is like a war zone. And so Jordan is all on this side, so all this part of Jerusalem is in the country of Jordan, all of the Mount of Olives, all of Bethany and so forth. And then on this side was the state of Israel, the new state of Israel in 1948. So, okay, here's the Temple Mount. We've been there now. You know we have a dome here. This is where the temple was located. You talk to any Orthodox Jew and they will assure you there's no question about its location. Many question the location, not scholars so much as others, but, and of course, God said His presence would remain there always. And so it used to be the chief rabbinate said, no Jew should ever go up on the Temple Mount. The signs said that. We have signs down there. Those signs are gone today. And today, one of the things that's changed is more and more Jews are going up on the Temple Mount all the time. And so they're wanting, in effect, to say, come on, this is our land too, if not our land by God only.
So that's why they're going up there.
They're going up there. Basically reclaim, that's exactly it. They're reclaiming. Now think about it. The temple faced which direction? The entrance faced east. Good. East. Mount of Olives is over here. You would enter this way. And of course, Josephus describes this. He said, as the pilgrims come, they would come from Jericho over that way, over to the east. They'd come up those hills, up those hills, up those hills, and then they'd come over where Mount Scopus or the Mount of Olives is located. And if the sun was rising at that time, what they saw was the front of the temple covered with gold and white marble, and they said it was blinding. Herod made it glorious. Clusters of grapes 6 feet tall. I mean, it really was just the most impressive of buildings. And so they would come this way, enter this way. Notice it said to the back of the Temple Mount. So the closest place you can get to God's presence today would be right here, if you didn't go on the Temple Mount. Today, here's the Western Wall Plaza. We've explained how after they took control in 67, within that week, They blew up all those buildings, got the bulldozers in there, lowered the ground level, and then, 12 years ago, I can't remember exactly when I first went through the base of this wall, this what used to be called the Wailing Wall. Jews had about 12 feet of access, one small place, and they were mistreated every time. They'd go there, there'd be loud noises, there would be things thrown over the wall. But then they had control and they began digging. Led to some riots, but they began digging, and now you can walk this full length of this wall, and every time I'm right here, against the wall, under the ground, down there under the ground, but against the wall right here, closest to God's presence, the Holy of Holies in the ancient temple. There are women praying there, always reading the Torah and honoring God by being close as they can to God. So that's where we're at. Now we're going to go to the Ophel. The Ophel is all this area to the south of the Temple Mount, and we will look at the steps right here where Jesus walked, and he would have walked underneath Robinson's Arch this way. And so all of this is first century when we get down to some of these, and some of this goes all the way back to the time of Solomon. So we have a lot of ancient history that was all covered with dirt, and once Israel took control, everything changed. All of a sudden, archaeology really gets a green light, and it takes off, and wonderful things have been found over and over and over.